Hello, welcome to the Hampton College Apprenticeship and Higher Education information really PowerPoint. Obviously normally this would be done as an evening in person, but we can't do that at the minute. So hopefully we'll get the information we need from this tonight. So the purpose of this presentation really is to outline the process of applying for university, what's involved in that, the sort of skills and information you need to pick up and develop in the time between now and the end of this academic year and onwards from there, and just so we understand what the process is and how that works. Key term on here, as you can see at the bottom, is the term UCAS, really important. It stands for Universities Colleges Admissions Service. All applications to university have to go through this system, so really important that we understand that and know that. We'll also obviously discuss student finance and loans, so you know about who's eligible, who's not, and how you go through that process. I guess the most important question really at this stage is to think about why go to university. They face perhaps unsettled times and things are different to normal, but certainly that the reasons for going to university remain as they were. This is a chance to study something that you love, you really enjoy, perhaps want to get involved in later through a career for at least 3 years. It says at least because some of them do go on longer than that. Some courses 4 years, some have sort of a gap year within that, and some extend beyond that with the nature of the course anyway. It's important to experience that sort of student life, independent study, but also independent living. This is probably the first time we move out of home and pick up the skills needed for that as well. So it's important life skills as well as the study and academic side of it. Build up research skills, time management. These are all transferable skills that employers would be really keen to see, and that's something we need to start developing from now to develop that at university as well. But it's important to remember there are other options as well. The apprenticeships, people sometimes go straight into apprenticeships and into employment from that. There are degree apprenticeships where you do a degree alongside a place of work, and they kind of sponsor you through that, or alternatively straight into employment if that's really what suits you best. There isn't a right or wrong for all. It's individual, and people need to make that decision, and we need to know how to look into that to make the decision and make the right decision. One of the key reasons to go into university is it's kind of the next step on a ladder that's going to help you in terms of employment, and that's the big picture really that needs to be looked at. As you can see, having a degree makes you more attractive to employers. That shows you've got some of those skills we talked about, the research, the independent study, and you'll have a greater choice of jobs. Okay, potentially you'll earn more as well. The average salary for graduates, as you can see, is 30% higher for non-graduates aged 25 to 30. So as a graduate, you will enter into most careers at a slightly higher pay bracket, which obviously in itself is an appeal, but it helps you move forward within a career as well because of the nature of the skills that you've learned whilst doing that. So the 3 questions really that need to be asked in the right order. Firstly, to decide, do you want to go to university? As we say, university isn't for everybody. Many of our students do go on, high percentage go on to university, but not all, and that's right for some people. So we've got to make that decision. Is this really what we want to do? Do we know what it involves? Have we researched into what life will be like at university to make that decision? Okay, and that's the important process between sort of coming back from Easter and half term, certainly a little bit beyond that, to make that decision and have a think about that. The next point, if we decided, universities for me, is to decide what to study. Now, that should come before where you want to go. Decide what the subject you want to study first. A lot of the advice that you get given when choosing A-levels is to do things that you enjoy, because that's going to help you study it more. It's quite intense. Well, that applies even more so now at university. You need to find a course that you think, I'm going to enjoy that. I'm studying it for 3 years. Am I going to be interested in that? Is it going to keep my interest, hold my interest? So finding out that course, first of all, is really important. And then you need to decide, once you've found that out, where to go, which is the best course or university offering the course you want to do. What are the other things that you'd want to take into consideration? Is it, the town that you're going to, what sports opportunities they have to offer, the distance from home, could be a little further distance or nearer. That's entirely up to the student. But deciding where to go really is the last of those questions. So from the questions there, we've decided to go to university. So next question really is which course, and there's some important things to think about there. When you asked about A-level and when students were discussing which courses to do in sixth form, you would have received the general advice of the top two there. What do you enjoy? What are you good at? Because they're the subjects that are going to hold your interest. They're the subjects you're going to want to independently work out and study at, which becomes an even more of a key factor at university. Okay. How does your A-level subject combination guide you towards an area? Okay, is that something that you want to be going down? Is there specific areas within a subject? So psychology might have, for example, different focus within that to look at. How is the course structured, taught and examined? Okay, is it split across various years? Is it all in the finals in the last year? What exams do they do? Is there coursework based to it? They will all be slightly different, and that's an important part to look at. And the last point's really important. There are so many different subjects out there to have a look at that just on offer at A-level that you could be interested in, and so it's worth researching and having a look into those. Okay, figure there are over 50,000 courses, so there will be something there for everybody. What is important is that you're doing what you want to do. Okay, this goes back to what you enjoy, what you're good at. You're focused on a course that you want to do, not perhaps where there's external pressure to do it. So, parents, please don't be pressuring them to doing something that you think they should do. Come and have that advice about what you want to do and how that works and fits for perhaps future career ambitions. But your future career doesn't necessarily dictate your course either. The example given there is medicine. Clearly that does. It's an exception perhaps to that. But for most careers don't necessarily need a degree in a certain qualification or certain subject to do that. So it is quite an open area again. So choose what you enjoy, choose what you're good at, and it's going to be something you're interested in for the 3 or maybe more years. Okay, next question then is where to go. And again, there's a huge number of providers, over 395 as it says there, and they will all be different. They will teach differently, their styles and assessment and all the things that they have will be different. Some will be located in big cities, some will be in smaller sort of towns on outside on the edge of cities, some will be campus based where it's all quite contained, some won't be. The reputation of the college, the facilities they have will all be different, and that's down to your individual sort of needs and what you want to do. And that is where the research comes in. So it's important over the next term that's the sort of thing we start to look at and find out about where you want to go. Do you want to be near Peterborough, near to home? Do you want to be a long distance from home? These are all sort of decisions really we've got to make. And within that, what's the transport going to be like to get there? So there's lots of things to consider, not just potentially one of those factors, but all of them together. One thing to consider when looking at university and where to go to, certainly for some of our high attainers in sixth form, is the Russell Group universities. This group of 24 universities, okay, and they are considered to be sort of higher end, top end universities within the country. So it's why I consider research intensive. They do a lot of work of research into various areas within the university alongside the teaching of students and sort of delivery of degrees as well. And they come with a very good reputation, which leads to obviously high demand amongst employment and potentially greater graduate earnings as well. But with that comes stiff competition for places, and generally their entry requirements and offers they make will be higher. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, worth having a look, see what the 24 universities are, see what they offer. But they have low dropout rates, high competition for places, but sort of carry a very strong reputation. It's also worth bearing in mind that within your course, you can look up and see they have a list of sort of ranking of the courses available. So if your course has been decided and you know what you want to do, have a look at that ranking, because it may well be the Russell Group aren't the best within that subject as well. So there's another factor to consider against that. So when you're applying, what is it that admission officers are looking for? What do universities want from somebody? Well, first and foremost, they are going to make an offer based on academic ability and potential. You make your offer before you get your results, okay? So they will be basing that on the potential that you've shown, okay, and the ability that potentially you have to suit the needs of the university. And that is why the Russell Group, some of the top universities have a higher entry requirement to get in and will make higher offers, okay? They want students who enjoy challenging education, and with that comes that level of independent research that you're developing now in this year in year 12 and be continuing to develop into year 13. And they want to see some sort of passion and suitability for the course. They want to know what you're doing about your love of the subject that makes you want to go and study that. And that's something we'll look at a little bit, and how you can develop that beyond just what you do in school. But these are the sort of things they're looking for. They want somebody who really wants to be on that course. So what's the process? We've looked a little bit about the first part here of research. There's two stages. Firstly is research, finding out about the courses, finding out about the universities you want to go to, so you've got the information you need and can start your application process. The second part of that really is to sell yourself, to make sure that you stand out on your application form from the other people that are applying through some of the skills and areas that you will develop. In order to find out about the universities, to do that research, have a look please at some of these areas. So UCAS will have some information on their website, lots of books in the library. We have some of the older prospectus here as well in the sixth form room. Higher education conferences, so if you see information about that, we'll start forwarding emails as they come through to us to find out about universities. They will put some sort of online ideas that help with that as well. Talk to ex-students. If you know any ex-students, friends, relatives who've been to university recently, staff I would include in that as well. They've obviously all been to university, some more recently than others, and we'll have good information from that. Or have a look at some of the information below and the websites below. There are also open days. Obviously at the minute those are virtual. Who knows what's going to happen in September, so that might open up, we just don't know at the minute, but certainly there are virtual open days where you can have a look around, see what universities like and how they sell their courses there. So there's some good areas to do your research. There are also plenty of other things that you can do that will give you a slight advantage and help sell yourself on your application form and develop your skills and understanding for the courses you're going on. There's a list there on the side, so you can see various subject-based competitions will be in place. Some of these, as I go through, you'll see maybe not so possible now. So enrichment activities in your local area, so libraries, museums, local universities, we can't do it at the minute, but they may open up, and that's something we have to look at and keep an eye out for. Public lectures, certainly online. That links to the bit at the bottom about TED Talks and podcasts. Always worth looking out for that to show that interest outside of just your academic subjects. Massive online open courses, they're really important. Have a look at those as well. Small courses that actually get you credits for doing that, well recognised by universities, and again show that enthusiasm for that. We're going to round up some of that information and send a letter out just detailing some more of that, so keep an eye out for that. But this is about selling or developing your skills within those areas. The important bit is that you can sell that on an application form, and that's something that we will develop through this next term as well. Another additional website that's well worth looking at, my HE Plus, educationplus.com, and again, lots of subject activities and information to read around, good to put on an application form and to help develop your understanding anyway, that will help you with perhaps exams this year as well. Okay, so another one worth looking at as part of the research and understanding and developing your understanding. Once you've got all that information and you've gone through that and you've signed up for a few courses, maybe done the wider extra reading, you've got to then think about your personal statement and what it's going to include. It is well worth from now just starting to, not even maybe so far as a draft, but making notes of things, achievements that you've done, interests that you've got, bits that you may have read or watched that would help with that. Okay, so starting that process now and just keeping like a little log of things that you've done that are really going to help show your interest in a subject. Okay, you also need to think about what sparked your interest in the subject you've applied for. Why is it you've applied for? Why are you interested in it? Okay, how do you know what you want to study? Okay, prove that you know what the course involves. Talk about some of the modules that might be on there. Talk about the information that you're going to do and how it relates to information on there. That's really important. Okay, that's where the interest of reading around the subject within school and beyond. Okay, so some of the other examples we've given and any other relevant experiences. It's then really important to talk about the skills that you've developed with that, and that's things like leadership, responsibility, organisation, Little things like timekeeping just are the skills that they'll be looking for within that level of independence that is useful as well. So that's the sort of things you need to think about a personal statement, but it's worth getting onto that now and just making a list of some of those. When you get to the point then that you've got an idea of all the things that you're going to do, and a bit later on next term, and we're starting to put together, possibly even into summer actually, you're starting to put together your personal statement. Remember, please, that it is just that. It is a personal statement. You can't take this off the internet, or you can't copy somebody else. It's got to be personal to you. It's got to show your ambitions. It's got to show your skills. It's got to show what you have got to offer. Okay. Some people often start quite a stereotyped way of doing it with a quote or an anecdote about something, but think carefully about that. Is that selling you, or is it just using up extra words and really not making sense to what you're trying to say? Linked to that is a sort of a natural use of fancy language and flowering language up to make it sound more important than it is, or to sound better than it is, and actually often it has the opposite effect. Sometimes simple is more effective, okay? And certainly for humour, keep it out of a personal statement. Once you've done it, read it again, make some changes, then get someone else to read it. There's no way that you will be doing a personal statement in one draft. It will take several drafts to get it right. That's part of how these things work. Okay, so it's really important somebody reads it, teachers, use your tutors, sixth form team, somebody at home, just to read through it, check for things like spelling mistakes, but all sorts of other sort of common mistakes that are made that we'll be wary of, we'll be able to help you with as well. So make sure you get it checked. And also don't just list things. It's about making your point and then being analytical about it, discussing it, say how that's developed you and the skills that you've got. Okay, so some top tips for you there, really important. Start to get a thought on that now, and it'll be ready to go for the summer. So later on in the term, we will have some time where we'll show students how the application form is online and can be filled in. Bits that we need to know, you'll be given a buzzword. It's normally HC or HG 2021, it would be in this situation, and we'll go from there, but we'll confirm that when we put that in. That's kind of like your password that gets you into the Hampton College, Hampton Gardens, UCAS area to start filling your form in. You'll be asked for personal details. It's really important we put those in. That's how they're going to contact you, and they will need all that information. You will need examination results from GCSEs and predicted grades. Okay, so you will need to have a copy to show and for us to see of those examination results, and a copy of predicted grades from teachers, and we'll be rounding that up for you to get that. You are allowed up to 5 applications. That can be a mixture of universities, courses, 2 courses at the same university, that's fine, but you get 5 opportunities or 5 places to apply for. Your personal statement and a reference from your form tutor. Okay, so that's the information that will be included. For your applications, 4 courses is a limit when it comes to medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine and veterinary science. So they have a slightly different rule. It's only 4 courses, not 5 there. 1 from either Oxford or Cambridge. Now, if you are interested in doing any of those, it is really important that you come and speak to Mr. Jordan. I know he's been out and spoken to some of you already, but we need to round that up now and that information. So you can choose 5 for any other sort of subjects or universities. Different courses, same university, different universities, similar identical courses, totally different courses. Okay, and you do not have to apply for 5. There's only 2 that you think you want to do, that's fine. The key to this, though, is that you'll be writing the same personal statement for each course. So you've got to make sure that the needs for each course is met in that personal statement. And that's why most people tend to be doing roughly the same sort of thing. Okay, you only have 1 application form, however. So once you've sent that off and once it's been checked and done and sent off, that's it. So make sure we get it right first time. Some courses do require an admissions test. Okay, so you see there they're called UCAT, BMAT or LNAT for different courses. They have to be registered at different time. Okay, again, if that's something you think you're interested in, we will take care of the sort of the details of that and let you know from that. But it is important you come and find us to talk about that. Certainly find Mr. Jordan, he takes charge of that part of it. And the details are on UCAS, so have a quick look at that and find out. Come and talk to us and we can sort that out for you. A little bit more information for those who may be thinking of Oxbridge or medicine, veterinary applications. It is slightly different. So you will get mentoring from Miss Price kind of from now on to make sure that we get that. Miss Price is the executive and teacher of the trust. Okay. You have an earlier deadline. The sixth form deadline for us is for the 24th of September. The UCAS deadline is much earlier, and we need to make sure that we've checked that we've got it right before we send it off. Okay, so if you are thinking of doing that, that's why it's so important that we know from now. Okay, so please make sure you come and tell us. Different colleges at Oxbridge will have slightly different sort of requirements, things like that. So specific research is really important to that. You need to have high grades already. Okay, your GCSEs will need to be top level GCSEs, 8s and 9s. Okay, and an evidence of wider knowledge and research as well. Okay, so that's really important. Again, that will be part of what we ask you when you come in and let us know. There will be the opportunity to visit colleges if we can get them open again. If not, keep an eye out for virtual tours, and they'll be doing those as well. They want people to have a look, so please keep an interest in that. If that's the subject areas or the topics you're interested in, or the colleges. And when we get to that, we will do practice interviews and support for that as well. So really important, you'll get the support you need if you do that, but it's important you let us know that that is your aims and intentions as well. Okay, so the deadlines, to make it a bit clear, we've talked about this and this is coming to the fore, but there is a bit of timescale on that to make sure we're not rushing into it. As I say, for the Oxbridge, the medical and veterinary, there is an earlier deadline of 24th September. 1st of November then for the others. Remember, it takes us about a good 5 days, sometimes longer, to go through and make sure that we've got the application right. Okay, so really important we meet those sixth form deadlines so that we're in line with the UCAS deadlines from there, and we can get those sent off in plenty of time. Often the earlier you get them in, the better chance you've got of getting onto the course of your choice. It helps with that. So the process at that point, after you've met those deadlines and the forms are in, we'll add a staff reference to it and just check that everything is right, no spelling mistakes or little errors that we might be used to seeing. And we'll double check that. And when it's all good to go, we will send off with you to UCAS. Okay, there is a charge for that needs to be paid by card. Bursary students can get that, the option of the school to pay. So we'll look out for that at the time as well. Your application will then be considered by universities. Well, they'll make an offer or not make an offer, depending on how they feel fit for that. But there is no timescale as such for that in terms of how immediately they have to do it. Okay, sometimes they make an offer within a week. Sometimes it takes a lot longer. But you will get that as and when it is. Please don't worry about that. If you don't hear anything straight away, that would be part of the process. Okay. You are then expecting out of your 5 options, okay, if you get all 5 back, brilliant, but you would need to make one firm offer or accept one firm offer, okay, and one insurance. So your firm is your first choice and insurance is your second. And our top tip there is make sure that your insurance is a lower offer than your firm acceptance, okay, because if you don't get into your firm and your insurance is higher, you won't get into that one as well. Okay, so you then have to choose your top 2 based on that between the 5 that you get back. Okay, so once that's happened, the process is pretty straightforward. If your applications are all unsuccessful, there is UCAS Extra, which is a way then following up universities and applying again to give yourself more options to do that. So there is, if for whatever reason we're unsuccessful, there is further options beyond that. It doesn't happen very often. That's why we like to check in the first place, but there is that insurance backup if needed. You then go through to exams or assessments in June 22, okay, through to them results. Now, UCAS will get a copy of your results, so they will know, as you do, how you've got on and whether you've met your conditional or first choice firm offer, okay. So they will confirm places following results. If we don't get a place at either your firm or conditional, we go into what's called UCAS clearing, which is again a chance to get into where there are spaces and have a look with the grades that you've got as to courses that are available. Okay. You can also go through adjustment if you do better than expected and think you can get onto sort of a higher entry course. Okay. So hopefully that follows through reasonably clearly. The key point being that the assessments in June 22, we get the best grades possible to give ourselves the best chance of success for this process. Okay, offers are normally made in one of two ways. It can be what we call UCAS points, and you can see on there how points add up and what each is worth. So if you get a distinction star or an A star, that's worth 56 points. A B is worth 40, a merit or a C is 32 points. And they make an offer, the example there, of 120 points across your subject. So you would need to get 120 points. That would have to be the equivalent of 3 Bs, but it might be you get 2 A's at 96, so you would need to get another 26 points. Okay, 24 points, sorry, as a D there. So it can balance out that way. Or they might be more specific and ask for grades of BBB or ABC, and sometimes even with a certain grade in a certain subject. Okay, that will come down to the university. That's entirely up to them. Students will be offered next year the opportunity to do EPQ, which is 50% of those courses. It's kind of like half an A-level research project. That's something we'll look at next term that develops that understanding we talked about already. Sometimes a reduced offer could come in with a good grade in EPQ as well, so something worth considering as well. So you'll know roughly what ballpark we're in for those figures. That will help you with applications as well and choices of courses. So this is really what we're going to be doing this term. That's what we're looking at, researching courses, starting this process of drafting the personal statement, visiting universities, probably virtual, as I say, for open days or finding out for that way. And we will give them information as to how that comes in over Easter. Work experience, obviously a lot more tricky. We are looking into how we can make that manageable. We've got some ideas for virtual work experience, and we'll pass that information on later as well. So it's about developing now that all-rounded sort of student beyond the academic as well, but making sure that we're on top of courses and academic work as well. Okay, what can parents do? Obviously, you're going to need some support with that, and some of this is dependent on how open things are at the time. But first of all, obviously, please don't book holidays during term time. Students are going to need that to keep on top of the academic work, to keep focused on that, to give the best chance they can of getting the results they can. Obviously, we've had a lot of time out now, so we need to make sure we can be in when possible. And certainly near results day, the advantage of being in for results day is huge. If people get what they want, brilliant. But if they don't, they really need to be in and have the support around school to do that. Support with open days, possible visits to cities, transporting that if it is open to do that, or just support with looking for virtual ideas and support and finding that. Just encouragement to see if they're available. Maybe some possible work experience contacts to say we're having a look at how we can do that, and we will update you with that as and when we know. Support with personal statements. You may be able to proofread it and go through it and spot spelling mistakes and things like that will help. They may have forgotten certain things that they've done and achieved that parents can help with. So any extracurricular activities that are relevant and in there can really help with that. Okay, and it'd be worth, when the students are going on the UCAS website, sit down with them and go through it so you're familiar with it as well, and you can help and guide that. I'm sure as parents you've all filled plenty of forms in the past, so you'll have some understanding of how they look. Okay, so some of those are quite familiar and really helpful that if we do that with the son daughter as well. Okay, finally then really on to student finance, because one big concern the students have, I think, about going to university is the finance aspect of it. Now, this is a quick run through. There is far more information on the government website on the page there, gov.uk, student finance, for extra information. There's some good videos on there that really explain it much more clearly and worth looking at. Student finance is based on household income, okay? And they will need details of parents or sponsors, if relevant, okay, of the household income. And that would include 2 brackets, so what we call taxable earned incomes, and that's the list of things there, or taxable unearned incomes, because they make it relevant as well. So benefits and pensions, rent from property would come into that category as well. So they would need that information to work out for finance. Okay, your loan will be for 2 things really. One, tuition fees. Universities charge a tuition fee up to £9,250. Okay, and that would be paid directly to the college. So with that loan, it would pay directly to that, and you would need to pay that back. once you start earning. Okay, so that's how the college courses are paid for. But you also are able to apply for a loan for maintenance, loan for living costs. Okay, and again, this is where you have to give details for household income, and you can see there the kind of prices or the kind of loan that go with it. So depending on the type of student, now most students from here would probably fall into the living away from home outside London. There is a London waiting. This is the second column we really need to look at the minute as a guide to that. So you can see it does increase a little bit, I guess, with inflation to do that, but it gives you an idea of how much can be done from that. And again, you would need to start to pay the loan. There's an idea of how much that payment is. Okay, you need to be earning the figure there, £26,500 per annum before tax, before you start repaying. So as you start to earn over that, you start to pay back at a higher rate. Okay, and then as you earn through your life, you'll start paying back more and more. In some cases, it is possible to apply for additional non-repayable allowances, the ones that don't have to be repaid, based on some of those factors just listed there. Again, if you're not sure, come and speak to us. We'll be able to help you with that and talk you through. Nursing midwifery, I have that as well, so it's well worth looking into additional funding if you're interested in a career in nursing. Okay, it's quite a lot of information there. For now, I think it's really important we're just getting an understanding of it and we know what that involves. As we go through the year, we're going to help students with that. We're going to give them more information and guidance. More information will be coming out, can be more focused with that. Important that they come and ask us questions. Important that you come and ask us questions if needs be as well. So that's my email if you need to contact me to find out about anything that's been talked about there tonight. But we will be now starting this process between now and the summer holidays so that statements can be looked at in that time. As I say, any questions, please do email. Thank you for listening.